The downfall of Animal Jam.
Animal Jam, a huge part of my childhood and of the childhood of millions of millennials around the world. I discovered the game in 2014 when the French servers were created, and I gotta say, I still played it till 2020, until some stuff happened, but we'll get to that later on. Let's first dive into the captivating story of one of the most successful online browser games ever, year after year with the help of Chris Johnson, creator of Animal Jam, who kindly accepted an interview. I messaged him back in November 2020, and after a month and a few emails, he gave me precise answers to my questions.
The creation.
Animal Jam is a Flash browser game imagined around 28 by Chris Johnson, who at the time was CEO of Smarbomb Interactive, the company behind the game. Not much was known about the genesis of the game so far, so seeing his reply was quite interesting. He states, "With the rise of browser-based virtual worlds like Club Penguin, I felt a massive opportunity present for a higher quality experience that targeted a slightly older audience. We knew we could take web-based gaming to the next level and ultimately live out my original dream of connecting millions of players. Animal Jam's goal was more than just a game. We wanted to create a fun, safe space for players to meet and make friends, play games, unleash player expression and creativity, and ultimately learn something. We called it Games with Substance. We formed a partnership with National Geographic to support our narrative and brand. With this partnership, animals became the best fit for our player avatars, and since we'd worked with Snoopy in the past, we briefly considered using Snoopy as the avatar. After several months, our talented team of concept artists came up with Animal Jam avatars. We knew we had something unique. Early testing confirmed players loved the game.
The better days.
Open beta began in the summer of 2010, which ran smoothly and helped us fine-tune the official launch experience a few months later. At that time, we released updates every week, which we soon realized was challenging and needed to shift. Instead, releasing updates every 2 weeks allowed for more meaningful content and gave us additional time to test and polish. The beta days are viewed with nostalgia by most old jammers. I'm not one of them, because I never actually played during that era, but it seemed incredible. I've seen quite a bit of pictures and footage of the beta testing of Animal Jam, because there were already quite a few players, and 2010 was the time where everyone would create blogs and share stuff on them. I'll let a link to one of them in the description. The game was just a few 2D rooms where your animal avatar would chat with others, play games, change looks, watch National Geographic videos and decorate the house called a den with some 2D items. It was simple, but it was good, and it worked. During beta, we also introduced the shamans, now called alphas, part of the intriguing lore of the game, that became more and more present as we moved forward.
The rise.
New rooms, items and animals began to get added after the end of the beta testing, and a new feature was added, membership. For a few dollars a month, you would access more content and features. You could also buy in-game currency. The game quickly became a success in the United States, due to both its great content and the National Geographic license. But one feature changed everything and made the game more popular and addictive than ever: trading. You could trade your items for other jammers' items, and this way, for example, get the items that were only available during the beta testing, even if you never played during the beta. This created what would keep Animal Jam alive for so long, the Worth system. The game kept getting more and more popular, with millions of kids playing, mostly in the USA and Great Britain.
The Climax.
Animal Jam was at its threshold of popularity for several years. In 2012, an out-of-the-game community emerged, with wikis, blogs and YouTube channels. Everyone knew about Animal Jam. Chris Johnson says, "In 2012 my title changed to COO Studio Director, as I felt a hugely presence in the studio itself would give the vision more impact. I continued to lead both the technology and design teams for AJ Classic and AJ Playwright." In 2013, another key feature of the game was added, Adventures. Chris goes on saying, "One of my favorite features in AJ was Adventures. which allowed us to share more backstory about Gemma and the alphas. By enabling a game narrative, the players could feel more connected to the avatars in the game itself. The adventures were pretty straightforward. You would fight the phantoms, the main antagonists of the game, and find items such as keys. The game really began to focus around trading, and items really began to have precise worth, with quite a madness for rares, where jammers would find a way to scam others out of their items just to be rare, which is quite ridiculous in itself. The first mobile AJ game was released in 2013 to AJ Tunnel Town. It was never that popular, but still got a decent number of downloads on the Google Store. In 2014, the foreign servers were released, including the French server in which I first began to play. The chat was even more restricted than the English chat, but we had quite a bit of fun. Rares weren't such a big deal in the French community. The big thing for 2014 was the launch of the beta testing of Animal Jam WildWorks. The new mobile app was a 3D version of Animal Jam, minus a few features like the adventures. It quickly became quite successful, though not as much as the original Animal Jam when it was released.
The slow decline.
AJ WildWorks was officially released in 2015, and the game became more and more popular as more features were being added. Animal Jam, though, was still very active, especially thanks to the huge YouTube community of ambassadors, but slowly began to decline in popularity. We kept getting new updates, but no real game-changer features anymore. It also seemed like a part of the AJ players replaced it by AJ WildWorks, and understandably so, a lot of the original jammers simply aged up and weren't interested in the game anymore. Smartphone Interactive turned into WildWorks, and until 2018 would only produce Animal Jam content. In 2015 we got the first wave of Jaws toys that would come out regularly for the next 2 years. Each toy had a code giving an in-game item, and I'm pretty sure they sold well. We saw some of the first signs of the toxic community that Animal Jam would become. Teams of so-called hackers, mostly former players, began to exploit the game, stealing items or just making fun visual hacks. Those could be done with tools such as Cheat Engine, which is ridiculous for an online game, showing how unsafe the game was, and still is. People also began to be so obsessed with rares that they would actually buy them for real money on the second market, which was obviously not allowed by the Animal Jam terms of service. The old hacking and selling community was still small though. The Animal Jam team did all they could to make the game more attractive, but in May 2017, something happened and Animal Jam would never be the same.
The downfall.
In May 2017, all signs of National Geographic disappeared from Animal Jam, and from then, the community began to significantly downsize, and never the content would be as good as it used to be. After a bit of digging, I found that Glassdoor reviews of the company WildWorks were incredibly bad starting May 2017.
Stay away from this sinking ship. If you love yourself, stay away from this company. Lack of respect for the audience, an attitude of shame for making girls' games. A management coup happened last week. The founder who built the company was fired. At the same time, they fired 13 of the most valuable employees, perceived as too loyal to the old founder. The anonymous goes on saying, the treacherous executives and their cronies not only don't mind the state of affairs, but created it to give cover to their plot. They have conspired for years to remove the company's founder from power and block out the employees who had built the company from the ground up, replacing the company's core with image-obsessed cargo cultures. Another anonymous says, the game is failing. Fewer and fewer children are playing. For some reason, WildWorks went on some hiring blitz before realizing membership was way down. So, a lot of good people have been axed in several mass calls this year. They go on saying, it feels like such a cowardly betrayal. And there are plenty more examples on Glassdoor, check for yourself. This was the main reason why I messaged Chris in the first place. I wanted to know what happened to this game that had such a special place in my heart. And so here is his response. In May 2017, a surprise termination of 14 members occurred. Some of those laid off were long-term employees, working at the company for over 10 years. As summarized by WildWorks in a reply to a Glassdoor comment, the investors wanted to institute change. This is always their right. It is familiar for investors to have different ideas for a company, I am still part owner of WildWorks, but have had no involvement since 2017. I'm not aware of the company's focus or how much attention it gives to each product. Why did Chris leave WildWorks? Was it because he was not approving of the decision that was made? Or was he forced to leave, as the anonymous review says? I don't know, and probably would never know. From this moment, Animal Jam would not be the same anymore. For a little year, they would still update the game often with new content, but then quite completely leave it to focus on the growing AJ Play Wild and their new game fer.al. The toys released in 2017 and up would be more and more toyish and sparkly, like the items and even the animals, totally forgetting the nature vibes the game used to have. The last adventure was released in 2018, and less animals were released. The game, clearly not doing any effort to be attractive for kids anymore, just became the lair of a community of teens that grew up with the game. The trading system would have its own stock market, with people manipulating worth by holding items and making fake trade attempts. People would make and sell cracking tools to hack accounts to sell the items. This just had nothing to do with Animal Jam anymore. In 2019, one of the main designers of Animal Jam left the company, resulting in no new clothing items for the year of 2020, as well as feuding items in a different art style. No new animals were released, too. This was nothing compared to what happened in May of 2020. The ridiculous, amazing migration, a name change. AJ Play was replacing Animal Jam, and Animal Jam became AJ Classic, and wasn't even on the main page anymore when you typed animaljam.com. It was the end, showing how much WildWorks just didn't care about this community anymore, and was just letting the few dozens of thousands of players pay their membership for just nothing new. After this, the community kept getting more and more toxic. Sure, there are still some nice players, but most of the community is obsessed with rares. The worth of each player, calculated in black loans, a rare item used as a currency, gives them basically a rank in the micro society. The rarest the better. So people hack each other, scam each other, and it even goes up to death threats, doxing, and even worse. Even some of the Jambassadors are involved in all this shit. Some people I used to know presumably committed suicide over Animal Jam items. This shit is serious. And WildWorks doesn't even seem to care at all, because not much is done except banning all those people that spent hundreds of dollars in membership, like they're doing right now. In October of 2020, something very serious happened. Part of the database was hacked, including usernames, passwords, but even personal information, and while not confirmed by WildWorks themselves, it seems it also included partial bank details. Yes, they're apologizing, but yes, it's also too late to actually make their game safe and moderated. Animal Jam is failing, once and for all. This month, Adobe Flash is shutting down on all web browsers, and the game will only be accessible on the app. Chris Johnson apparently was working on another solution before leaving. He says, "Before leaving, my top goal was to transition Animal Jam Classic from Adobe Flash to WebGL, to allow continuing support on web browsers. It doesn't appear to have happened yet, and as Adobe has discontinued Flash, AJ Classic is now only playable by downloading an app. I've always felt a big part of Animal Jam's success is the accessibility for players. The new download requirements could result in fewer players." Oh man, this is just not my Animal Jam. To finish it off with a more positive note, Chris Johnson also told me about a mysterious project called Modstorm that he is working on. He says, "My latest creation, Modstorm, is very exciting. I'm looking forward to its launch. It is multiplayer, built around user-generated content, and runs in browsers on computers, phones, and tablets. I've been working tirelessly since leaving WildWorks, and I'm thrilled to be introducing open beta in 2021. Stay tuned." So yeah, I'm definitely gonna be making a video about it whenever it comes out during the year. I wanna thank Chris Johnson, without whom this video would not have been possible, and all the amazing people I met through Animal Jam. Let me know your experience with Animal Jam down in the comments, and be sure to leave a like and to sub. Jam on while you still can.